Welcome to CK Sports Talk on 99.1 CKXS. CK Sports Talk is brought to you in part by Canada Business Services, the Chatham-Kent Sports Network, and 99.1 CKXS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to CK Sports Talk here on the Mighty XS. That's 99.1 on your radio dial. My name is Peter Cobb, and yes, sitting over yonder, you know him as the wizard from Wallaceburg, Mr. Shawn, Patrick Moynihan, our producer, Corey North. You know, Mr. Moynihan, I don't know if he said he's having gas or he's going to get gas.
Gas prices are good in Wallaceburg, so I think he's heading out to get some gas.
Well, he'll be heading south to Ridgetown, that is for sure. And we have the lovely Rebecca Reimer in studio. We missed her a couple of weeks ago. She was on assignment, and we grabbed her here, and she does everything, Mr. Moynihan, at CK Sports Express. And Rebecca, first of all, welcome to CK Sports Talk.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Well, and I remember, Shawn, the first time I met this young lady, I said, Reimer, you're not related. And this is when James Reimer was playing for my Toronto Maple Leafs. And she said, as a matter of fact, I am. And I went crazy over that. I said, oh, my goodness, crazy. I've got somebody famous here who knows James Reimer.
Yeah, you've always got to bring in the Toronto Maple Leafs, don't you? How embarrassing. But, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. I'll be very honest with you. I've picked up your magazine on numerous occasions. Actually, I've seen it at the Oaks Retirement Village where my dad is, the Gumper's listening.
Tuning us in.
I've picked it up there numerous times. And very impressive. And for all our listeners, CK Sports Express, it's a grassroots, multi-platform media provider. It's dedicated, Pete, exclusively to community sports. It's all about athletes, their teams, coaches, volunteers, fans, events, and it's really impressive. So congratulations to you, Rebecca. It's really an incredible magazine.
Thank you. I work very hard to make sure it stays that way.
Well, tell us a little bit about it. Tell us a little bit about CK Sports Express, like how often do you publish, etc.?
Yeah, so CK Sports Express is your sports magazine. It's all about Chatham-Kent. Like you said, we feature the athletes from Chatham-Kent, and we have so many of them. I had no idea when I started with the magazine how many people were involved in sports. So we print 6 times a year. We print 10,000 magazines, and we deliver to roughly 300 locations within Chatham-Kent. We've got your arenas, we've got your libraries, we've got your McDonald's, your Tim Hortons, and your car garages, and even some retirement homes. So we're reaching every demographic that you can possibly think of.
Oh, that's incredible. And, you know, what I found really interesting in the magazine, Pete, just this last edition, for example, you have Athlete of the Month. And it's really a cool story.
Was I this month?
You're not, Pete.
No,
You're not. You're maybe next month.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, work is the right word to use. But sponsored by Victory Ford, the great Don Sparky Leonard and Victory Ford. There's a fitness and nutrition section. There's an article on Zumba. There's a great article about the Blenheim Blades and their 50th year celebration. There's some details about Bothwell and what's going on there. And then I found the article on seasonal affective disorder quite interesting, also known as SAD. So really, you're really making an attempt to really cover a lot of bases here in this magazine.
Yeah, for sure. We want people to pick this up, and we want there to be something for everyone. You know, statistically, 55% of people are involved in sports. So if you're not involved in sports, you've got someone in your life that is, right? And so we're trying to reach everybody, whether you're watching your little daughter, dance ballet, or you're sitting in the doctor's office and you're bored. We want there to be something that will interest you.
For sure. And, Pete and I have the opportunity to do a lot of high school volleyball and basketball and elementary school volleyball and basketball on Cogeco 11. And we're always amazed at how many parents and family members watch that. And I just ran into some people this week that visited my house, and they were telling me when their son, who is now living in Toronto, comes home, they always put on the tape of the UCC CKSS volleyball championship of some 7 or 8 years ago. So, your point's well made, Rebecca, that people really do want to read about local sports. Well, tell us about your writers. I just talked about the variety of articles that you do have. You can't write all this. You don't have time to research and sit and write. How do you get articles?
This is the best part of our magazine, actually, is that we're open submission. So in any magazine, we can have up to 50 different people involved in contributing in the magazine. And I love that. So I put a call out on Facebook or on the radio, and I say, hey, we're looking for stories. And people send them. I very rarely have to do more than 2 or 3 interviews, and we're a 20 to 28 page publication depending on the time of year. So, we've got your professionals like your chiropractor and people like that want to make sure people are getting correct information.
True.
That will submit things to us. And then we've got, we have some elite athletes that come into town and are so gracious to spend some time with us, and we usually write those articles. But for the most part, it's parents and coaches who say, hey, my kid is doing really well, or someone I know is doing really well, and they need to be recognized for that.
You were mentioning to me, and I think it's genius. I was saying to Rebecca Pete how often on her cover she has a team, a lot of faces, and you were talking a little bit about the number of faces you like to get into your magazine. Share that with us.
Yeah, so I work towards I try to get between 250 and 500 faces in every magazine. And we're usually around the 250, 300 mark, and I'm working towards 500. Because that's 500 people who now have family and friends that are going to pick it up and pass it on.
For sure. Now, of course, you have to have advertising, and going through this, I see some great advertisers. I see great advertisement from 99.1 right here on the back page, Pete. And beautiful.
Oh, that's a full page.
Well, and look at the back ad. Krabby Joe's on the back ad. That's a tremendous ad. Pete, you see that giant burger on
I
the
saw
back?
you put away 2 of those one time.
Well, we might have to do it right after the show tonight, Pete.
Man, you guys are making me hungry.
Tell us about advertising. How do you sell advertising? Who does that?
Well, that would be me again. Well, we have some businesses, that I meet at different events that say, hey, I'd love to support that. And then there's other businesses that I go into and I explain the magazine. I show them what we're doing, and they're just pumped to jump on board. We've got, Tom and Alice from from Wallaceburg.
Right.
It's been with us pretty much since the beginning. Because as soon as they see the magazine and they see what we're doing here, they want to jump on and they want to support it. And most of our clients are long-term clients.
If you don't mind me asking, because I know we have lots of advertisers and corporate sponsors and businesses that listen. I guess that's a quarter of a page ad. I see a beautiful one here for Batter Bus Lines. Of course, everything is done in color in your magazine. Really high quality publication. What's a quarter of a page ad cost, if you don't mind sharing with us?
Sure. So that depends on the length of your campaign. The longer you and I work together, the better deal I can give you.
That's fair enough.
But if you just want to do one time and give it a try, you're looking at $600 usually.
Okay. Well.
And your prices go down from there. So if you decide to join me for 2 years, I can give you it for half.
Right.
So I like to work with businesses, and I want to build a relationship and do something long term.
Well, it's really an excellent publication, and as I said, Pete, it's all done in color.
And 10,000 copies are getting out there.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and as you said, people are picking it up because they know someone in this magazine, and it's genius. Let's talk a little bit more, though. I'm intrigued by how you get people to write for it. And explain that to us once again, and give us a few more details. If I'm the manager of a really good little hockey team right now, how would I go about that?
So there's a couple of ways to contact me. You can check out our website or our social media. And some people say, I'm really not a writer, but I think that our team should be in the magazine, so I'll send you a list of questions. So don't let that scare you. If you don't have a degree in journalism, that's okay. Neither do I.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll sit down with someone and just ask them questions, or they can send me what they've got and we add to it. I really want to work with people. And so write what you've got and send it to me. A lot of our stuff comes off of social media, so I'll see someone posted a picture, and I'll be like, hey, you can get an article in our magazine. Can you write something? And most people jump on that. I'd say probably most of the articles that I get through social media.
Oh, great. And is there some pressure? Do you feel some pressure? Hey, you were telling me, I think your next deadline is Friday or Saturday. Is there pressure to cover all sports, to find articles, oh my, I got too much hockey right now. I need to get a couple of different things. Do you find there's a bit of a pressure out there on you to do that?
I don't find that there's a lot of pressure, because as I've built relationships with people, I've got friends in every sport. I've got people like you guys. Gary Patterson's really been a big help. Dave Cameron has sent me several articles. So I find that usually we get a wide variety of sports just by asking people to send things in. I personally do work really hard to touch on a lot of different sports in every issue.
Right.
But I've found it relatively easy.
Right.
And she's got a young family too.
Well, I am intrigued by your background. Not that I expected something different, but tell us a little bit about your background and how you actually got involved in being the publisher of this document.
All right. Well, the magazine was brought to Chatham, Kent by my dad, Isaac Fair. My dad's an immigrant and has built another successful business, and it would not be he wouldn't be where he is without this community. And when this opportunity was brought to him, he thought, wow, there's a really big void here in the community. A lot of our newspapers have been bought out by bigger companies, and they don't have the space for things like this. You send something in, maybe you'll get your story in there. And he just really saw that this could be so good for our community and saw it as a way to give back. And here I am. So he started it in July of 2014. He had another lady helping him out, Amber Valade, who did a lot of work and really built it up. And I got involved in November of that year after having my son. And just started distributing for him. He said, I'd really like to be able to focus more on sales. Can you do this? Oh, yeah, sure, Dad. It gives me something to do. And then it was like, well, do you feel like making some commission? And I got into sales, and then I just ran into someone and I don't even... Oh, Ben Weeby from Tilbury. He played really good basketball in high school, and got talking to him and did an interview. And I said, Dad, can I write something? And he goes,
Nice.
Sure, why not, right? And so just slowly got to learn about different things. And eventually Bernice Leslie joined the team, and she kind of took me under her wing and taught me everything she knows about sales. And I wouldn't be where I am without Bernice. She really taught me a lot, and she knows the community. She's been here a long time. So that would be how I got where I am today.
And you're a mother of two.
Yes.
How do you find time to do all this? Like, what's the secret?
I have excellent support. I have a great support system. So I have an aunt. My Aunt Tina takes my kids 3 days a week.
Okay.
And then I work my butt off. Greg Hetherington from this
The heater.
Yeah, he told me that you can accomplish anything if you're willing to work harder and sleep less.
Boy, that's true. He's up at 3:30 every morning, getting ready to come in here.
Absolutely. Well, listen, there's something you just forgot to mention. Of course, hard work is always important, but a passion for the business is such a priority, and you certainly have it. And Rebecca, you have just an incredible magazine here. I enjoy it thoroughly. I look for it. We might even be submitting a couple of articles from CK Sports Talk here to help you out and cover a couple of the sports. But congratulations on such a fantastic publication and continued success.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for joining us here on CK Sports Talk. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, the O'Leary brothers, who is one of Rebecca's favorite interviews of all time. She shared that with us too, right? All right, folks, we will be right back.
Because local does matter. This is CK Sports Talk on 99.1 CKXS.
Okay, folks, welcome back, CK Sports Talk. My name's Peter Cobb, Mr. Shawn, Patrick Moynihan, and we have all the mics in play here, so this is new for me. Mr. Moynihan, to have.
Well, are you all right over there?
Well, I think
Peter,
so.
we don't want you
I tried
passing
to run
out.
the welcome back button, but it was misbehaving. So who knows what goes on? But we have the O'Leary crew here, and Mr. Moynihan, I got to tell you, the gentleman to your boy's right, he roamed the halls of W.T. Lang. He is Victor O'Leary. He's a former Crusader. I remember him 40 years ago. Good gracious. And we have Tate and Caleb in the house, the O'Leary Brothers racing team. And we're going to talk a little bit about Buxton Raceway.
Let's do it, Pete. First of all, thanks for joining us, guys. You're becoming famous. Do you sense that? You get some great media. We just, of course, had Rebecca here, Reimer of CK Sports Express. Did a fantastic article on you in that publication. I read it actually quite a while ago. Gentlemen, why don't you start by telling us a little bit, how did this family get involved in racing? Well, I heard a story about this, and it really touched me and moved me. I see you guys have number 28 on your car. Tell us the significance of number 28.
The significance is, well, her birthday is December 28th, which played a role in it too, but one of the bigger factors we looked at was her favorite race car driver was Ernie Irvan. And his
Ernie
number
Irvan.
was 28,
Oh, my.
So.
Wow, what a great story. Guys, there's we interviewed a couple of gentlemen way back, Pete. It must have been 7 or 8 months ago.
Jim Dale Jr.
Jim Dale, Team Redneck,
Yeah.
which I thought he was kidding me when I asked him the name of his team, but we're Team Redneck. I thought it was a great story. So it really educated us and educated a lot of our listeners about racing. Tell us about South Buxton Raceway. What does it look like? Can you tell us about the different classifications of races? Because I do want to talk to you guys about your special involvement and where you race. Can you share with us what some of the races look like and the different classifications?
Yeah, so it's a 38-mile dirt track, and it's a fun track. We've got, there's 5 divisions. There's the Bomber, which we both started out in, and then you got the mini mods, which we raced this past year. And then above that, you got the sport stocks, and then the modifieds, and the late models. And a fun fact with the late models, this year we're going to be teaming up with Brad Simpson Racing, and Tate will be moving up and racing a late model in that division with him, and then I'll be staying back with the mini mods for another year.
Okay. Well, you had a pretty good...
Tate's got a big grin on his face. He can't wait for that late
You're
model
getting a
racing.
bigger
I'm
car,
going to tell
aren't
you,
you?
Tate,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
I think this is gonna be a fun time just to learn new stuff with better people, and yeah.
Yeah, well, it's going to be great. And listen, I see, Caleb, this year you were Rookie of the Year. I see you also won Sportsman of the Year. It's incredible.
It was very surprising. It was great. It was a crazy amount. There was 28 cars in that division, and it was great. I was so proud that he got 7th place, and I ended up finishing 14th, and it was crazy. I had hockey that night too, so I walked into the banquet a little later after the awards and walked in there, and everyone's telling me, "Oh, you almost swept the division," and all that. And my dad didn't tell me what the awards were yet, so I was just completely lost in space of what was going on around me.
Well, you won a couple of them, and I find it interesting. They have a Sportsman of the Year award. Now, I'm a rookie, a novice when it comes to your racing, but I just thought all the drivers generally hated each other. You mean there's sportsmanship? Talk to us about that.
It can be a little bit like that, but yeah, everyone says rubbing racing, but it's everyone like sportsman. It's a guy that he drives clean. You know what his line's gonna be, and if he gets into you, he comes over, he apologizes, and he's just like a friend to everyone. And I find that a lot of guys there, they're talking to their friends, and yeah, sure, rubbing's racing. They'll get a little rough on the track, but it's always you come back and it's day is a day, and everyone's friends again.
For
You
sure.
ever been black flagged?
No, I have not.
Uh-oh.
The kid beside me,
we have some pointing. Dad's pointing
Yeah,
at young
tell
Tate.
us about that.
But
Tate.
one thing, Vic can't say much. He also got black flagged.
Oh, all right.
Okay, tell us about the black flag. Come on,
Well,
this is
I'll talk about the one black flag. Me and my dad were racing in Bad Axe, Michigan at Silver Bullet Speedway. Tate had hockey, so he couldn't come. So me and my dad racing, jump in the cars, and so we go into the heat races, and we're driving, and then he comes off. He's like, I can't drive that car. I went to steer the car, and I'm so big that the steering wheel caught my belt, and I couldn't steer. So we're like, okay, so we switched up, drove the feature, and ended up getting black flag for spinning out one too many times.
wow.
I ended up finishing second in that race, so it was me and him were kind of neck and neck in that race. It was a fun track. It was a little
Silver
cold
Bullet
down there.
Speedway,
Yeah,
eh?
down in the States. It was. Yeah, that's not the only track we've been to. We've been there. We've been South Buxton Raceway. We've been to Oswego a couple times, which is up by Brantford. Tate raced at Flamborough. Actually, he did double duty up there with the mini mod and the Thunderstock. As well, we also raced at Delaware, which my dad races.
wow,
So
yeah.
it's a cool thing. We actually raced against guys that my dad raced against when he was racing there. So it was a fun experience.
That's great. Dad, you must be very proud of your boys. First of all, they've followed into their dad's footsteps and their dad's hobby. Can you talk to us about parental pride?
Yeah, for sure. They actually started at a young age. I remember when they were like 2 and 3, or even younger than that. They'd those little Tykes cars they had. They'd paint. They'd put magic marker numbers on there for what number they were, and they'd race around the deck and smash them into each other. Because I did come from the Derby circuit, so it was fun. They started right from then racing each other, and then they started at 4 and 5 racing soapbox cars with the downhill Derby, or the Soapbox Racing Association. Right. And so they're still involved in that. They run a lot of shows here at Wambo, and we run one out in Port Lambton in memory of their mom as well. And so they started out with that. They raced that. They were really competitive and had a lot of fun with it. And then we went into lawnmower racing, which was really fun.
Oh my goodness!
Because all 3 of us actually raced. We brought 3 lawnmowers with us. These things, they were all geared to go the same at about they run about 25 kilometers an hour. So it was really fun. The 3 of us got to go to all these fairs, and we raced against each other, and that was a lot of fun. We ended up finishing first, second, and third in points that year, and there was about 8 or 9 lawnmowers in the class, so it was a lot of fun. So we did that for 1 year, and then we went go-kart racing down in Windsor, and then we finished off a year in at Tilbury as well, and then the boys had a lot of fun with that, and then their mom passed away, and so we ended up racing. We've always been involved with helping people out and at the racetrack, so we ended up building the track at home thanks to Dale Says come out with his bulldozer and made us this go-kart track, and we raced our go-karts there every night. We'd go out and we did it as the 3 of us, and spent a lot of time together, and that was it was great. And then from there this go-karts are breaking down too much, so we ended up getting junk cars for a couple $100, and we'd race these things around the track wide open, about 80 kilometers an hour, not hit the brakes, and we learned a lot. And then from there, we were always fixing them, and then we ended up going to Buxton racing the next year in a bomber class, and then we ended up getting another car for Tate that year, and it was it's really, I can't say enough and how proud I am of these boys for what they've done. They've outcome a lot of things, and they just keep growing and learning a lot of things, and you can go to the racetrack and a lot of people will tell you they know who the O'Leary Bros are. They're definitely great with the kids at the track. They're great. We go to parades and everything, and kids are always over talking to the boys, and it's pretty fun to watch how much they're growing into men. And they've learned a lot about racing too and building motors. We had a great motor builder, Mike Legui. He's Tate has helped him build a motor this year, which was pretty neat to see, and it's been fun. They've learned a lot. We also purchased a hoist this year, we just put it in last month, and so that's a great addition to our race program. So the boys, I'm very proud of them, and everybody who helps them, I can't say enough to thank them for everything they've done for these 2 boys.
John, these kids, and I call them kids because I can say that about Victor too. but they're great community folks too. You know, I saw them and I see them every year at the St. Clair River Run. Benny Hazard runs there in July, and it's a great run, and I recommend that everybody get out to that. But that run has some special meaning for you too, doesn't it?
Yeah, Chrissy, she always run that race, and I always said I was going to run it with her, and but I always ended up working it with the township, so I always made double time doing that. So it was always an excuse not to race, not to run, and she passed away, and then the three of us run it in 2013, and my goal was to beat her time, and I did it, and not by much, but I did it. And then from there, the next year, Caleb, we had a race, the two of us, and he beat me by 2 minutes, coming at 30 minutes for 5K.
Awesome.
And then, so it was, it means a lot. A lot of people from our family and friends come out and run for her in memory of her. And so then this year, we showed up to the race. We were racing the night before up north at Schwegen, and then so we got home late. I think we got home about 2:30. We had to be up for 6:30 for the race.
Yeah.
We got there, and Deb Highfield seen me. She looked me in the eyes and she said, "Are you running 10 today?" And I said, "I haven't had my shoes on since last year," but I said, "Sure." So I did 10 in about an hour, 10 minutes, 10K.
Fantastic.
So pretty good for a 225-pound guy. But to say Caleb, he'd run under 30 minutes this year for 5K. Not, it's amazing what you do when you got a goal in front of you.
Yeah. Now, I've read and I've heard the boys here also like some other sports, and you're involved in a few other sports too. And this is a sports talk show, so tell us, guys, what are some of your other favorite sports?
Well, we've grown up playing football and hockey. I've been playing hockey since I'd say 3 or 4, along with Tate, and then we've also been playing football since grade 1 and grade 3 with the Cougars, and we've been playing football for the Tartan football at high school here, and then we do a lot of help with the Cougar Association with the minor football with the kids. We coach them, try and coach them every year, and it's a fun experience. We get to get the community. Football and hockey there, and racing, you can't forget what those are.
I was going to say, do you have time for school? That's incredible. School, I guess, isn't important at this point, is it, Pete?
Not when you're racing cars. Come on now.
Absolutely. And speaking of football, what position do you play? Tell us about it.
I play linebacker and offensive line. I play D-line all the time. I'm kind of all the way around in those positions.
I hear you. That sounds really great.
You guys CFL fans or NFL fans?
A little bit. I like NFL more, but...
Okay, well, listen, next week we are having, in our Christmas show, we're taking predictions. Who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl, and who's going to win?
Well, I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm watching the game yesterday. And as of right now, Steelers
took out the
have a
Buffalo
chance,
Bills,
so
Yeah.
If Steelers keep on holding their position, then I feel like they might get a chance, but... If they get knocked out, I'm probably going to say it's going to be Dallas and Raiders.
The Raiders and Dallas.
Well,
and who will win that one if it's those two teams?
I'm going to be honest. I like the Raiders. They're probably my second favorite team with Mack and Carr, but I got to say I think Dallas with Elliott and
Prescott.
I
just don't know if those two kids can make that
I
happen,
agree with you, Pete.
We'll see.
We're going to talk a lot next week about that.
You guys tune in.
We're going to have some, I think, some surprising predictions. And I like your choice of the Steelers, though. And they are getting better and better every week.
Le'Veon Bell did a great job.
Over 200 yards rushing, I think,
And Big Ben seems to get it done, too. He's a big game guy.
Well, guys, something that always I'm curious about with O'Leary Brothers Racing, it must cost a few bucks to put cars on the road and on the track and keep them upgraded and ready to go. How many cars do you have? And what kind of dollar figures are we talking about? How many cars do you have that are running?
Well, running, I'd have to say 7.
Wow.
Okay.
So we have our 2 mini mods, and then we got we have 2 Thunder Socks that are running. And actually, with one of the mini mods, we are selling one. If anyone looking to get into racing for mini mods, we are selling ours. So just contact us on Facebook or anything. And then we have 2 Thunder Socks that are V8 cars with a Camaro and a Monte Carlo. We got and then a couple bombers sitting out We
Okay.
haven't raced for a couple of years.
So it must cost you a few dollars just to maintain this and keep this going, and parts and gas, and I'm not even going to mention how much time you've put into it, but it must cost Dad a few bucks to. I bet you it's an expensive hobby.
We actually, along with this year, now with our addition with the late model, and we now have a tow rig to haul the cars around.
Okay.
With the semi, so it'll be a little easier now. We can hit up some more shows down south or even up north. And if it weren't for our sponsors or some special thanks people, it'd be a little tight.
Well, let's talk about your sponsors, because I wanted to finish with that tonight. I think the station here, 99.1, has been very good to you.
Oh, yeah.
And tell us about some of your sponsors, and don't leave anyone out, because we have found what makes community sports and athletes so great is the number of people within the community that always reach out. Share with us some of the great support you get.
So we have, I got a nice long list here.
Well, you're a smart
away.
kid for bringing a list.
So big thanks to all our sponsors this year. We have Napa Elliott Group, Mike Legui, who my dad already mentioned. We have actually right across the road here, New Vision Optical. They've been with us ever since we started. We got Somber Township Optimists, DeGui's Flowers, Grover Trucking, High Fluid Products, PJ Welding, which is Phil Johnson. He helps us out all the time. Mansell Excavating, Magnum Signs, Big Chief, 99.1, which no clue who those guys are. But
Well, I know, right? I do know their Monday night sports show has led to great ratings. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's money.
And Shepard's Electrical.
Then we got the Black Goose. And then we got Brown Deso in Dresden. L7 Welding. Steven Seeds. Parsons Small Engines. Port Lambton Firemen. Dr. Mark Dickerson Family Dentist. Palouse Trucking. Select Finishing. And Eugene and Kathy. And then for our special thanks, we got Michelle Menzel, Brad Simpson Racing, Drew Smith Racing, Jay Walters, Eugene Hookster Racing, Hooker Motorsports, and a big thanks to my dad. Yeah.
Just like you guys said, if it weren't for my dad or any of our sponsors or special thanks, it's my dad. He's the backbone. Like, even if it weren't for my dad, we wouldn't be racing every week. And it's just a big thing with my dad. I think he's the backbone of the Leary Bird Racing, to be honest. And there's some more thank yous. Like Buxton, it's a big thank you to them. If we didn't have them out here, we wouldn't be racing every week. And especially for the fans. If it weren't for fans, there would be no racing. And then also Sports Express magazine. We've been in there twice. Once their first magazine, and then their last issue they just had. So it's fun exposure. And
Like hosting Saturday Night Live. You've been on twice. You're a veteran there, you know.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and then just a great thing. Like, there's some guys on here that it's great. Like Hooker Motorsports, they're gonna be taking our car and doing some body work on that. And Jake, he did great this year with running a late model, which Tate will be running up with him next year, and he did great running up there.
Kirk Hooker has had a tremendous racing career,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well, Jake, he's followed like big in his footsteps, and along with Brad Simpson, he's like an uncle to us. Like every week, he's like, "Hey, Uncle Brad."
Nice.
So whenever we see him, he's great. He actually followed in our footsteps this year and ended up winning the Wayne Daniels Memorial Award, which we won last year. So it's great to see that go to him this year, and it's just a great thing to see that. And then Drew Smith, he's even our neighbor too. So it's.
Well, it's fantastic. Well, you guys have tremendous support, and you can see why. You know, such a great family, Pete. We talked about the passion of Rebecca Reimer, who was here beforehand with her magazine, and I just feel the passion. We were invited out to South Buxton Raceway by another group, and we did not get there this summer, Pete, you and I.
I'm ashamed we didn't. We were invited to go right down into the pits, put on some coveralls, and see how it all. This year,
we will do it. We'll do some interviews with you, get some pictures, whatever happens. Do not let Peter Cobb in your car, okay? Do not let him
Just
talk
one
to you.
lap, that's all
Now,
I
he's
want.
already scarred your dad by teaching him some 20 years ago, so do not let him. But
Hey, that's two guys that want to get in my car now. Got him, and then my football coach, Mr. McLaughlin, keeps asking me to drive.
Well,
Robbie McLaughlin
Rob's
been a
been
guest
on
on
our
our
show
show,
too.
too.
We have a lot of support and affection for Rob McLaughlin, who does such a fantastic job with Tartan football. But guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you coming into our sports talk show. Any final words or thoughts before you slide out of here and go home and change the oil? And
Actually, I got hockey after this.
Oh, okay.
But,
I'd like to say something. Sorry to step on you, Kill, but I remember Mr. Cobb. I never did know his first name until years ago, but you were one of my teachers that stand out in my career at W.T. Lang. I remember you telling me a lot of things, and it sunk in after years of you telling me. I remember the wrestling team and stuff like that. That's a long time ago. Yeah. So I thank you. Every time I see you, you bring a smile to my face, and I remember you, and I thank you for everything you do. Mr. Cobb, when I see you coming across the finish line in the river race, it brings a smile to my face to know you're there and you know my name. So thank you, Mr. Cobb.
Well, that means a lot, Victor. Thank you very much.
And just a quick note out there for everyone listening, we do have a Facebook page, O'Leary Brothers Racing, which if you want to follow us, just hit that follow button and we'll let you guys right in the group. And if anyone wants to help us out at the track this year or sponsor us at all or wants to buy a car, just message us on Facebook or anything and we'll get right in contact with you guys.
I know one thing there for sure. We got lots of friends too, but if anybody wants to learn stuff about cars, they're more than welcome to give us a call. We can teach them the ropes on how to build cars and how to race and how to work. The boys are learning a lot. I'm very proud of them. Tate don't say a lot over there, but Tate is the backbone of this race team as well. He does a lot of the mechanical work, while Caleb does a lot of our PR work. So they both have their own. Caleb's learning a lot more with the wrenching things, but Tate, I can leave them with something. I know one day I had to work this year. We got a new motor, so I said to him, I says, can we have this motor out, put in Caleb's car, and be ready to go when I get home from work? And they did it. They had a motor out, a motor swapped, and into Caleb's car by the time I got home from work at 14 and 15 years old. So
wow, that's remarkable.
I give them a lot of credit. They know what they want to do, and it just ain't about racing. It's about the friendships we gain there at the track, and it's a lot of fun. I thank everybody that's given my boys the opportunity to race. And like you said, it does take a lot of money and time, and I thank everybody who has helped us do this, and thank you.
And just a Merry Christmas to everyone out there, and just have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
good stuff. Well, listen, to all our listeners, that's the O'Leary Brothers Racing Team. What a delight to meet you in person. I know you've had a great year, and we wish you the very best next year. And Pete and I look forward to seeing you out in the pits at South Buxton Raceway. Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right, the O'Leary brothers will be back right after these messages.
Welcome back to CK Sports Talk with 99.1 CKXS. To submit your local sports news, info, or score, email news@ckxsfm.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. Peter Cobb along with Shawn Patrick Moynihan, and we are going to play right now Personal Perspectives of an Armchair Athlete. It's called Candid Cole, the great Bill Cole, and we are ready to rock here, I think. And I'm gonna
There was a little hullabaloo in the National Hockey League this past week over the league's concussion protocol. Edmonton's meal ticket, Connor McDavid, hit the ice chin first, and the call came from the official spotter upstairs to get him out of the game and check him out. Well, it turns out he was fine. He had not suffered a concussion, but he was mad. So were his teammates that they'd lost him during a crucial game against Minnesota, and then they lost it 2-1. You know, concussions are no joke. They can be life-altering. I worked in radio in Tampa for about 10 years at an all-sports station. It was the flagship for the Buccaneers, so so I worked with a lot of guys who'd played in the NFL, some in the league for 12 years or more. After a show, we'd sit around and they'd laugh and tell stories about big hits, both given and received, and playing through concussions. This was before the NFL got serious. And they'd joke about trips to the grocery store nowadays where they either forget what they went for or, in some cases, how to get home. Some would have to call their wives and ask directions or even use the GPS. But you could see the fear in their eyes. If life's like this at 35, what will it be like at 45? And will they even be around at 55? So should they relax concussion protocols or get tougher? Well, you don't need a GPS to figure out that direction.
All right. Concussion protocol, something very important, Mr. Moynihan, to you and I, because we had Frank Little in here, and 99.1 presents Candid Cole with Bill Cole, personal perspectives of an armchair athlete. Find more Candid Cole online at ckxsfm.com. Thank you to our producer, Corey North.
Well, Pete, a couple of great guests tonight as we sign off. I think, we've had the great T.J. Brody and Seth Griffith and Derek Duran, these superstars on the international stage. But two local, homegrown superstars tonight. Rebecca Reimer doing just yeoman's work with her magazine promoting local sports in Chatham-Kent. And, of course, the O'Leary brothers, whose passion and sportsmanship and dedication to stock car racing was simply incredible. I really enjoyed those three, I was going to say kids, dad and two kids. Vic was dad and Tate and Caleb. So, God, they were interesting. And I can't wait till next year for us to get up to South Buxton Raceway. And we've got some craziness going on.
That's the O'Leary brothers doing the Chinese fire drill right out in front of the station. You gotta love it.
Honking their horn and spinning away. What a great crew. But, Pete, a great show tonight and some good local insights.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Rebecca Reimer, boy, she spoke so well. You can see confidence in that young lady, and we wish her and that magazine all the best. And, of course, the O'Leary brothers really brought back some memories for me. I remember Victor in school, and Victor was a hard worker as a student. But you know what? Once he joined that wrestling team, he was dynamite. I'm going to tell you, that was his, and that's back when we had wrestling in elementary school. Those days have long gone, anyhow. But and next week, I'm looking forward to next week because our theme is going to be NFL predictions and playoffs. But we're going to talk a lot about, Toronto FC, who lost that heartbreaking and penalty kicks,
Right. It's a tough sport there, Pete. Not always the best team wins that sport. I'm not a big soccer guy, but a mediocre team can really roll into a funk and control a game. And really, I know Toronto FC was so excited. The city was on fire, but unfortunately a loss, but they'll be back next year.
And we're going to find out who all the candidates are for the Chatham-Kent male and female athletes of the year. But, boy, Bridget Carlton, Sunday, 31 points, Shawn. Just shattered her own personal record. She's leading that team and really opening some eyes in that division.
Well, and you know where we hope she's going. We hope she is going to make the Canadian women's Olympic basketball team. Mark it down, everyone, 2020 in Japan. Hopefully Bridget will be there.
And you and I, too.
Well, there's talk.
All right. Well, listen, for our first guest, Rebecca Reimer, and our second half guests, Victor, Tate, and Caleb O'Leary of the O'Leary Brothers Racing. For my partner in crime, Mr. Shawn Patrick Moynihan. And for our producer, Mr. Corey North, who'll be heading south to Ridgetown, that is. My name is Peter Cobb, saying so long.
Thanks for listening to CK Sports Talk. Tonight's show is brought to you by Canada Business Services, the Chatham-Kent Sports Network, and 99.1 CKXS. For more local sports news and information, log on to the Chatham-Kent Sports Network at cksn.ca.
99.1